Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to the channel. And in this video we are going to talk about some of my favorite fall baits that I love to throw, and they're just go-to baits for me. And we're just going to dive right in. I'm going to show you some of my favorite baits, so stay tuned because we're going to get into it. Hey everybody, and welcome back. And like I said in the intro, we're going to talk about my favorite fall baits to throw in fall fishing for bass. And these are my go-to baits that I tie on once fall starts coming. And these are my baits that I start out with, and these are the baits that I catch a lot of fish on in the fall. And I just wanted to show you guys some of my favorite baits, and then maybe you guys can tell me what some of your favorite ones are. But we're going to start off with two of my main ones that are usually always tied on throughout the fall. I love to throw these into cover. I love to throw them into trees. I love to bounce them off of logs, off of rocks. Any type of structure, I will chuck them up in there and roll them out. And one of the first ones is a crankbait. This is a square bill crankbait. This one is actually a shad pattern, which is made by Strike King. This is one of my favorite go-to ones. This works in basically any colored water, whether it's clear or stained water. This is a great go-to bait. This is a 1.5. That's like the biggest I like to throw is a 1.5. I usually don't throw anything bigger than that. And this pretty much matches the hatch for a lot of the places that I fish. And I just love a square bill crankbait. I throw this especially in the fall. This is a great go-to bait because they're feeding up on bait fish. They're chasing those schools. And if you see a school bait fish, you can run this through it and do some stop and go patterns on it, and you're going to get some bites. And you can throw this up into the trees, bounce it off the logs, bounce it off the rocks, pylons, even if you're fishing around piers and stuff like that, or bridges. This is a great bait to bounce off of stuff, and just really will get some good reaction strikes. And I love this. And when we're talking about hard baits like this, crankbaits like this, the other one that I also like to throw is a lipless crankbait. This is a Rapala lipless crank. It's got a rattle in it, and I love to throw these as well. This is the second one that I'll have tied on. I'll have a square bill tied on. I'll have one of these tied on. And these you can rip through the water. You can yo-yo it, where you let it go up and rattle and then fall and yo-yo it up, or you can just reel it slowly. And then what I like to do when I'm reeling it is I like to reel it, and then I like to rip it and let it fall, and then reel it and then rip it and then let it fall, just like that. It'll kind of be coming along, and you'll rip it and then you'll just let it drop, and then you'll rip it and let it drop, and you'll reel, rip, let it drop, and just keep doing that action where it has that pause. And 9 times out of 10 they'll hammer it on that pause. And these things are deadly, especially this time of year. They are great. I love these baits. They get a lot of bites. And this Rapala one is one of my favorites. This is probably caught me the most fish out of any one of my liplesses. This one right here has done me all kinds of justice, and all kinds of colors of water too, because this is a shad pattern. It's a red eye one. Shad pattern, you can throw that in pretty much any color water you want, and you're going to get some bites, and they're a great baits. So those are the two crankbaits that I love to use. And then when I'm not throwing the crankbait, my other favorite thing to throw is a spinnerbait. Now, I love these spinnerbaits, and I like to use the willow blades, and I like a gold blade and a silver blade on my spinnerbait. And chartreuse and white is my favorite color to throw. It's one of the only colors that I actually usually carry. I usually have chartreuse and white, a white, and like a darker color, like a black or a bluegill colored or a black and blue type skirt. I usually only carry 3 colors of spinnerbaits. I really don't use anything else, but 9 times out of 10 I'm throwing this chartreuse and white. I can throw this in clear water, I can throw this in dirty water, and this will get it. Sometimes I use a trailer, sometimes I don't. If you guys want, you can put a little swim bait trailer on there, some type of trailer to create some more action. There's days where I do that, there's days where I don't, but this is my favorite color. This is my go-to. I love the willow blades on it, and these are just great spinnerbaits. And you can throw these up in the branches, in the trees, you can throw them up in the rocks, you can throw them around the pylons, around bridges. Just a great all-around bait. It'll deflect off the logs. You can swim it, stop and go. You can yo-yo this thing. You can fish it so many different ways. And for fall fishing, This is going to hammer fish because it looks like several schooling fish swimming along. Creates a lot of commotion in the water and gets those reaction bites. So you should definitely be throwing a spinner bait. They are awesome. And like I said, chartreuse and white is my go-to color. I use that in clear water. I use it in stained water, dirty water. Chartreuse and white has been my go-to. It's been the color that I catch the most fish on, so it's my favorite. It's my tried and true. I have tons of confidence in this, and it's just a great bait. So definitely recommend this. This is actually a custom-made one that I had done, but you buy Strike King ones all day long with the silver and gold willow blades and go to town, and they will do you justice. And you can try different colors. Try the colors in your area that work for you. Figure out what colors really work. Like I said, for me, it's the chartreuse and white, a white, and then a dark color, whether it be a black and blue, or I have one that's like a dark bluegill pattern that has like browns and oranges in it, and it's still a willow pattern, and I'll throw those. But it's usually just 3 colors I have, and that's the only 3 that I use. I don't really use anything else, as I drop that on the floor because I stuck myself in the finger. But those are the 3 that I use. So let's move on to the next thing that I like to use. I like to use a jerk bait. This is a Rapala Ripstop. I really love this bait because this bait, when you jerk and rip it, it actually stops and then it'll turn sideways and then do its little float up. Jerk baits are great in the fall. They're really good in the spring. They're even good in the summertime. I use them in the summertime. But fall fishing right now, jerking this through like a wounded fish through those schools of fish, those school of bait fish stuff, is definitely going to get you those strikes. Jerk baits are great baits to work. This is actually a medium diver. This is it dives like 3 to 8 feet, something like that. Somewhere in there, we're in that area. But I love this ripstop. This is a shad pattern as well. You can see it's got some cool flashiness on it, so it's really going to get the attraction. This also, I think, has a rattle in it as well. It does. And a jerk bait is another great bait to throw in the fall. I'm definitely going to get some strikes on it, so I definitely recommend trying a jerk bait. Now, speaking about jerk baits, we're going to get into, there's 2 different types I like to throw. I like to throw the hard one, which is this Rapala. That's my hard bait, but I also like to throw a soft plastic jerk bait. Now this is my Z-Man. This is my Z-Man jerk baits. This is a soft plastic fluke. This is actually in the Slam Shady color. I'm going to pull one of these out to show you guys. I love this color. It's just a great shad pattern color. Really great bait. Love this thing. This size, I think, is a 4-inch. And that's like the size, perfect size that I like to throw, is those 4-inch ones. And these things will get hammered. Just throw it in with a weedless hook. And I usually like to do it, sometimes I throw it without when the fish are up in the shallows, or sometimes I'll throw it with a little bit of weight on it so I can get it down there. You can jerk this, you can swim it, you can drag it on the bottom. It has all kinds of action, and these are amazing to use, and they will get you tons of bites in the fall. So if you're not throwing one of these as well, you really should. These things are awesome. You can buy them in Zoom. Zoom makes them too. I have Zoom packages of them up here. Here's this is the pearl white. This is one of the other colors I like to use right here in the Zoom. You can find those at Walmart, and they are just phenomenal and will catch you fish. And when those fish are chasing all those bait fish, these are just phenomenal. I'm a big fan of Z-Man. These float really well. So I really like this a lot. I usually throw this with a little bit of weight on it, and it does good. So that's another one you can do. And speaking about all the soft plastics, we're going to get into the last things that I like to throw, which are some Z-Man baits. I like to throw the Ned Rig. I always have a Ned Rig tied on, whether it be a Z-Man Slim Swim, which is one of these right here, which is one of my all-time favorites in the deal color. And I'll take one of those out so you guys can see it. I throw the deal or pearl white, which is right here. I'll show you the deal color. This is a 3-inch. And these get hammered, so that's one of my favorite all-time go-to ones as well. And that's one that I actually will use year-round, but it's great for this fall fishing with the bait fish pulled up. That 3-inch, that 3 to 4-inch size is perfect for the bait kind of fish that I have in my area. And I love them a lot. And then I also will use, when it comes to paddle tails, now you can use any kind of paddle tail you want, but you definitely want to be throwing some type of paddle tail swim bait. But here's another one. This is the Minnow Z. And this is also in the Slam Shady color, and these are like a 3-inch as well. These are just a little bit thicker and fatter. So we're going to take one of those out and show you one of those as well. Fix that real quick. And so this will give you an idea. This is a little bit thicker and fatter swim bait. You can also use this as your trailer on your spinnerbait as well. But these are phenomenal baits. I love these things. You can rig them up weighted or unweighted. Just chuck them out there, slowly swim back, pauses, jerks, anything you want to, hop in it, and they were just going to get you fish. Because the whole thing is that the fish are feeding up on bait fish right now, and they're feeding up schools of bait fish. So they're corralling those bait fish up in the shallows, and they're gorging on them because it's fall time. They want to get fat for winter, and so throwing some sort of type of paddle tail swim bait, like one of these Z-Mans or whatever your favorite, whether it's a Kitech, something like that. You want to be throwing something like this, and you can throw it weighted, unweighted. I like a little bit of weight on mine. It really just depends on how you like to fish them, how shallow, what you're fishing, whether you're fishing real grassy areas. I always rig them up weedless because, I mean, in a lot of areas that I fish, there's a lot of weeds, especially some of the ponds are really grassy. So I always try to rig them up weedless so I can pull them through. And some sort of paddle tail is definitely what you want to be throwing, 100%. You want to have that on there along with your spinnerbait and your crankbait. And then one of the other favorite baits I have for a Ned Rig is the Trick Shot Z. This is one of my favorites. This is in the Goby. This is the Goby, as I drop it on the ground. Anyway, this is one of the Goby Bryant colors. This is a shad pattern color as well. I love this color. It's kind of hard to find, but you can find it. And that color, pull one of these out. Really amazing, good looking bait. So you guys can see it. Hopefully you guys can see that. And this thing has really amazing action with that tail flipping around and the thing. I rigged this up with a 1/15 ounce weedless Ned Rig head. They make weedless ones. And this thing is deadly and catches me tons of fish. And if you guys have followed me for any length of time and seen me fishing, you see me using those a lot. And you see me catching a lot of fish. They catch largemouth. They catch smallmouth. You name it. Anything that eats a minnow eats that bait. And just a great all-around bait. Fishing on a 1/15 ounce. You can do 110 or 1/15. Depends on what depth I have. Most of the time I'm usually using a 1/15 ounce jig head. When I need to get a little bit deeper sometimes or quicker, I'll use a 110. But phenomenal bait and will catch you tons of fish. Great fall bait for fishing. It'll just get you fish. So that's another one that I love to use. And then one of my last ones and all-time favorites as well is the Hula Stick. Now, I love these Hula Sticks for several reasons. Number one, it's a bigger profile presentation. And in the fall, that's a good thing because the fish are looking for bigger, fatter things. This color is actually called the Mud Minnow. Just so you guys can see that. That's the Mud Minnow. So, super great colored bait. Represents a minnow. Now you can rig this up multiple different ways. You can do it on a Ned Rig head, and I rig it up weedless, just like I said, but you can also rig it up on a shaky head. So you can throw it down there on a shaky head, and that'll be sticking up, and you can drag it. So I do it both ways. I do it on a Ned Rig, and I'll do it on a shaky head. And what's really awesome about these Hula Sticks is that I like fishing the Trick Shot Z too, but what's really great about these is once I wear this out and get this out, I will cut it right here where that clear spot is right there where that centerpiece is. I'll chop it off right before there and take this part off, and then I'll have just that much of it, and then it becomes my trick shot. So I kind of stopped buying trick shots and just started buying Hula Sticks, and I just cut the Hula Sticks down to trick shot size when I use them. But I love these things. These are great fall baits. Catch you tons of fish. These are great baits for year round actually, but this is another one of my favorite fall fishing baits and stuff, and I'll rig it up those two ways. It'll either be on a shaky head or I'll rig it up on a regular weedless Ned Rig head, and I'll throw it out there and drag it around. And sometimes I'll swim it where I just cast it out and I'm just hopping it and just twitching it through the water where it's just doing a twitch like this. And sometimes I hop it off the bottom. I do it a couple different ways to find out where the fish are at, depending on what level they're at, and I'll hammer them. And that is an awesome way to catch those fall bass. So that is what I love to do in the fall. Those are my fall go-to baits. Those are my favorite baits to throw in the fall. Now I could have showed you some different colors on the crankbaits because I will use like a crawl pattern as well, depending on what it is, or maybe a chartreuse color depending on the color of the water. But those are my main baits, and those are the ones that I will tie on right out the gate when I'm going fishing in the fall. Those are the ones that I throw on. Those are my go-to start out baits every day when I go fishing in the fall, and they are guaranteed for me they always catch me fish, and they should catch you guys fish too. One of those baits is going to get you on some fish. They definitely work really great. They're awesome baits for my area. I live in Virginia, and so where I live, those baits are phenomenal for me, and that's East Coast for you guys that don't know. But they're great baits, they're phenomenal baits, and they will definitely catch you some fish in the fall. So I highly recommend them. But leave some comments down below what your go-to baits are down there for fall fishing. Tell me what you guys use, because I know you guys are all over different areas of the country. So I'd love to know what your go-to fall baits are for catching big fish out there, or catching fish in general, just catching the fish out there that you use in the fall. I'd love to hear what you guys use, and tell me which of those baits that that I showed you that maybe you guys already are using. Tell me which ones are your favorites as well. So I hope that's informative for you guys. I hope that helps you guys out that are doing your fall fishing. There's a lot of different baits you can try, but those are my personal go-to baits out there, and I'd love to hear what your go-to baits are too. So appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for everybody that has subscribed. I hope you guys have been having a good year of fishing with all the craziness that's been going on in the world and stuff. And that's all I got for you guys. That's the video for today. And the only other thing I got to tell you guys is just do yourself a favor. Get out there, get your lines wet, and catch some fish.